Hey guys, so just recently the 6th Toonga League has been announced and they'll be featuring Street Fighter V Season 2. So in case you guys don't know what Toonga is, it is pretty much the highest level tournament league there is in Japan, and it's ran in not exactly a round robin format, but in a way that every player has to play every player, which is really cool because you get to see players go through the gauntlet, and some of them can go completely undefeated, which is really cool to see. We already got a list of all the players featured in Toonga, as well as the characters that they'll be using. So this is a cool sneak peek on seeing which of these pro players are either sticking with their mains from Season 1, or they're making a switch to maybe a more powerful character they feel for Season 2. And I thought this would be a good opportunity just to talk about that in general of pro players switching their characters and why, if we do know anyways. Also, the Toonga team said that that the players may change their characters if there are any balance changes made during the competition. So this is really interesting. So they're anticipating that maybe Capcom will indeed do another patch for Season 2, because there's a lot of controversy on that, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did, and they're not locked into their character. So if their character did get nerfed to the ground and the pro players felt compelled to have to switch the character again, they're allowed to do so. So here's the list I have. It's not a big list, just so the video is not too long, of just some players that I'm going to note off that have switched or haven't switched. So, and this isn't just Toonga League, I'm talking about pro players in general. So first off, my boy, Bonchan. Started off with, well, there's no Sagat in Street Fighter V, unfortunately. But he started off with Ryu, and then he decided to pick Nash, and he had some struggles at first with Nash, but now I think that Bonchan is definitely one of the best Nash players, if not the best Nash player. I'm kind of biased because it's Bonchan, but he's still sticking it out with Nash even after the Nash nerfs for Season 2. So really cool to see him still playing Nash. Goichi, MOV, Nuki, pretty much the best players with Chun-Li. All of them really powerful Chun-Li players. They're all sticking with Chun-Li, it seems, for Toonga League. So really interesting. I've heard from many players that Chun-Li definitely got nerfed in Season 2, but I still have to really look at those patch notes to judge it for myself. So I'll be doing a video on that in the future. Haitani is using the Kali still, so that's really cool. Nutcase Eita went from Ken, and then he was exploring some Akuma, and then now he's back to Ken again. And Ken is another character that I think people kind of jumped the gun where they thought that Ken just got nerfed to the ground where he's unusable, but I still think Ken is the strongest Shoto for Season 2 personally. But yeah, Eita is sticking out with Nutcase Ken. Infiltration, one of the most dominant players in Street Fighter V when Season 1, or when the game launched, and he kind of fell off for a bit, and now he made a lot of character changes near the end of Season 1, so it's really interesting to see where he's finally landed. So first, he started off with Nash, and then we got the Season 2 patch notes, and he says Nash is dead. Of course, he's been using some Rashid, some Balrog, he was all over the place, and he said for Season 2, he's either going to learn Juri, Ibuki, or Akuma, and but currently, he is made his full stop, and he says that he loves playing Juri, so it looks like he'll be using Juri, at least for now, in Season 2. So that's really cool. I got to see him play some Juri recently during his stream, so that was really interesting, and to see where Juri lands in Season 2, because she got some buffs, but people still think that she's not really powerful. She's just much more viable than she was in Season 1. So I really want to see like a pro player like Infiltration really explore this character, and we can see the full potential, hopefully, in Season 2. Shen, poor Shen, using Fang. Fang was regarded as one of the weakest characters in Street Fighter V, and he was definitely unhappy when he saw this Season 2 patch notes. I'm sure many people were very surprised at seeing the nerfs to Fang. Or, not nerfs, but the changes were definitely not huge buffs to the character, because he did get some buffs. But like all of his normals were like slower startup, but like more plus on block, and just really weird changes in general. But it looks like Shen will be sticking out with Fang for Season 2, as far as I know. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, I don't know if all the hard work paid off, but Shen will be going through another year of this character. Reiketsu, he used Vega, now switching to Cammy, good choice. And Kazanoku is sticking out with Cammy, also a good choice. Nemo, who used Vega, really entertaining Vega to watch, has made the switch to Urien, and he absolutely loves the character and is really setting the standard for this character. Nemo's just absolutely nuts with Urien, and Urien is an insane character for Season 2. So a really crazy pick going from Vega to Urien. Nuckledu, who is pretty much the king right now, won Capcom Pro Tour, and he used mostly Guile and Armika, and he's still using Guile and Armika even after a lot of the nerfs to Armika. He's still dominating with that character, and he just recently won Frosty Faustines. Daigo, this is another really cool topic. So Daigo, he's been really vocal about his character choices lately for Street Fighter V, and of course he used Ryu at first. And you know, sometimes he tried out a little Guile too when Guile came out. But for Season 2, he felt that Ryu definitely got nerfed too hard, and that so he felt like he was compelled to switch his character just because of that. And you know, this has happened to Daigo before. Ryu has been nerfed before in Street Fighter 4, and he tried switching to Young, for example. And even though he was a really good Young player, it just didn't seem to fit his style, didn't seem to work out. And then eventually he found Evil Ryu, and then at first it took him a while to learn Evil Ryu, but once he got the character, understanding the character, it paid off big for him. So now he's kind of in that kind of same situation now, where he doesn't know whether he should just pick top tier, right, or stick with his iconic character Ryu. And he even mentioned that he was thinking of either using Urien as well, because Urien is really strong in Season 2. But finally, in the end, Daigo has decided that he's going to use Ryu. And even though he was winning with Guile, he still wants to play Ryu. And there's actually some cool translations from his stream. And he says that, well, first off, he said he was unhappy selecting Guile because it made him feel as though he was competing solely for work and not for fun. And he said, quote, "I have to win. If I don't win, my sponsors are going to leave me." He felt a lot of pressure from this in general. And then he said, even though he was doing all that and winning with Guile, he felt like, wait, when did playing fighting games become work? Playing fighting games is something I love. They're supposed to be fun. I shouldn't be doing something for the sake of winning, for the sake of my sponsors. So really interesting. That's, you know, that's the thing. When you play like this game for a living, or just games in general for a living, you have to make these choices between fun and to win. You know, you're competing for money, and you have sponsors behind you, and there's a lot of pressure behind that. So it's really interesting to see, like, you know, the choices of this, because, you know, if you play a character you truly love, sometimes you can push that character further than a character you don't act exactly like the player, doesn't fit your playstyle, right? So making that choice is really difficult. And I personally felt that Guile was more of Daigo's playstyle in Street Fighter V, because Daigo likes that zoning style of play, and even though he gets a knockdown, he'll continue to zone you out to make you defeat yourself, basically, by making mistakes and trying to get in on him. But I feel like Street Fighter V is a very momentum-based game where when you get that first knockdown, it's time to go in, not to continue zoning. Especially when there's so many anti-zoning tools or anti-Ryu tools, especially with Season 2. They add a lot of like Fireball invincibility on frame 1 and things like that. He also said he's not going to play the same lame defensive playstyle with Ryu this time around. Instead, he's going to be more aggressive, offensive Ryu. So I'm really looking forward to that. And, you know, I don't think Daigo should care too much about what the sponsors, you know, think about him winning. Like, Daigo just being Daigo is good enough advertisement as it is. And if he's playing this iconic character, that's a good news for all Ryu players, and just since, you know, Ryu is the poster boy of Street Fighter V. So I doubt there's going to be any problems with sponsors leaving him. But he says that, well, he joked around that if he does lose sponsors, then he'll make a YouTube channel. I'm sure he'll be very successful very quickly if he did decide to do that. So yeah. Also, we have the Akuma army. A ton of players switching to Akuma, especially when Akuma was first released. First off, we have Snake Eyes, who, you know, very known Zangief player. He was so ahead with Zangief when Street Fighter V first came out, understanding how that character worked right away. But he ran into that same controversy I'm talking about, where you have to decide between playing a character you love and winning, right? Because you are competing for money. You're trying to make a living off this. Is your lifestyle. So it is a very, very difficult choice. And in the end, Snake Eyes was bouncing between Ryu, and now from what you guys are telling me, he is using Akuma. So I can't wait to see that during that launch party event that's coming up in a week or two. So get to see Snake Eyes Akuma if he is using him. Tokido, no surprise. Tokido went from Ryu, one of the best Ryu players in Season 1, but of course he's going to go to his main from all the other games. He's going to play Akuma. When I say other games, I mean like Street Fighter 4. Momochi, Ken, he was testing out Akuma, but now he's still using Ken, because like I said, Ken is still very strong. Sako, one of the stronger Chun-Li players, or one of the strongest, and he is making the switch to Akuma. And Sako in particular, I really like watching his Akuma. I think his Akuma is awesome, really aggressive, and he uses the V-skill a lot. So yeah, of course there's many other pros that switch to Akuma, and many other pros that switch characters in general, but there's just too many to list them all, of course. So yeah, it's also very exciting to see, you know, high caliber players pick a new character in general, because we get to see a new set of eyes, I would say, on a take on that character, on that play style. We'll see the character being used in a way that we never imagined before, and we get to, you know, you can change the meta, for example. Like, Infiltration is a really good example. When he used Nash, he really set the bar on how to play that character, to really abuse his mobility, his backdashing, his forward dashing, and such. And it just changed how people play that character. And even Capcom said, we didn't intend this character to be played that way, and that's probably one of the reasons he got nerfed to the ground. But when we have all these pro players, these really high caliber players, you know, switching characters and such, it's really good. Like, if you're say you're a Juri main and you hear Infiltration is going to use Juri, that'd be really exciting, because you're like, I can't wait to see, you know, what he's going to find out with this character. And it's exciting for everyone when they're switching characters. Unless, you know, you already had pro playing your favorite character, then yeah, that kind of suck, yeah. It's also very rewarding too if you're somebody who used a lower tier character to begin with, and then finally that character just got buffed so hard because of, you know, so many complaints, and the character really needed a buff. So, you know, all you Laura players, I'm sure, are really happy with her insane buffs that she's had in Season 2. So, like, all that work has finally paid off in general. But, you know, that's the gamble of playing a high tier character. There is always a chance that your character is going to get nerfed to the ground from a knee-jerk nerf too, where the character is just like unusable. But, you know, Street Fighter V is such a safely made game, but I think that every character in Street Fighter V is viable, even poor Alex, because there's no real like 7-3 matchups in this game. You know, like a real 7-3 matchup is bad, guys. It's bad. There's no crazy god characters like there are in like Third Strike, for example, like truly OP characters. There's nothing like that. So every character is still viable, but just the way the game is, you want every advantage you can possibly have. But yeah, it is very daunting for someone who has invested so much time on one character, and then finally, you know, next year the character has been nerfed really, really hard. Yeah, so Capcom in general has made one of their philosophies for Street Fighter V is to make it so players, to avoid players from not having fun. And what I mean by that is, for example, one of the main things they talked about is fireballs and zoning. They said that a lot of people playing online would get zoned out too hard, and they would find it not fun and basically drop and not play the game anymore. Capcom didn't want players to just give up and just not want to play because it's not fun. But I think the way that some of these characters got rebalanced and nerfed, like nerfing isn't necessarily bad, but it's bad when you take out the fun of these characters, which I think kind of goes against that philosophy, because if a character just gets nerfed and they don't get tools in return, or at least a new way of playing that character, right? Or to focus on another strength of that character. Maybe the character was zoning, but now they're going to make the character more rushdown and really strong rushdown. And make them different, but still fun, and not just nerf them and then just not give them any tools in return. It's not fun. It just makes you not want to play the character ever again, and no one wants to pick them up. And that would turn people off, and at some point, if you invested so much time into a character, let's say a year, you just might not want to play the game anymore, right? So you definitely want to avoid that. and that's why there has been so much controversy with Season 2 in general on people wanting another patch, right? And you know, Capcom doesn't have to wait a year. They don't have to wait a year. And of course, patching too much and, you know, listening to, you know, a loud, you know, vocal minority is of course bad. But, you know, we're in the day and age where we can patch games. You know, we can make fixes. We're not stuck with an arcade machine that just doesn't get updated, and we have to, you know, go through it for the years and figure out ways around it ourselves. We definitely want time to figure out tools and figure out, you know, how to overcome the weakness of our characters. That's another fun part about fighting games. But if it is, you know, to the point where players are not having fun, they're dropping the game or dropping these characters, then, you know, we'd still have the advantage that we're able to still patch the game. If Capcom wants to, they can rebalance it, right? We always have that choice. It's not like the arcade days, right? So yeah, what do you guys think about all this? If any of you guys know any more pro players that are switching their mains, you know, be sure to let me know in the comments below. I'll be really cool to see, you know, which players are switching to which characters. It's hard to keep track of everybody, especially European scene. Let me know, guys, on who's switching to what, and I'll be checking the comments below. So yeah, guys, don't forget to like the video, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. So take care.